Welcome to Susan McEachern Park here in gorgeous Sydney, Nova Scotia. This is the Nova Scotia Senior Baseball League on Bell Alliant Community One, your leader in local sports webcasting in Atlantic, Canada. It's the Sooners and the Canadians, their second game of a two-game set. And leading off for the Canadians is Connor Sullivan, the second baseman. So Connor Sullivan, the second baseman, leading off here against Anthony Iannetti, the big right-hander for Sydney. So Iannetti will try to follow up on that masterful performance by Paul Doucette last night. There's a shot just shortstop. And up and no problem there for Chris Farrow. So an early play for Farrow, and he makes no mistake. And we're off from Sydney. Isabel Germain is our camera girl, and Drew DeMocus our producer. And make sure you stick around for the fifth inning. Riley McDonald will be taking over the play-by-play for an inning, and I'm going to go to the PA box. So a little mix-up, or not mix-up, but a little switch-up for today to look forward to. So stay with us throughout the afternoon. We're going to have a lot of fun here from Susan McEachern, that pitch high and inside for ball one. So here comes your 1-0. This is Ryan Vino, the shortstop. Vino tries to lay down a bunt, and it comes back our way to the press box and off the top of the roof here. Vino had 6 at-bats yesterday, and 2 for 6 was Ryan. Scored a run in the third. So a 2 for 6 day yesterday for Ryan. Of course, if you weren't with us last night, well, you missed a barn burner. It was 4 hours of baseball, 13 innings. We'll talk more about the storylines of that game as we go along. Too many to talk about just in this top half of the first. Of course, the major storyline, Paul Doucette, 13 innings on the mound to get the win last night. Nearly 200 pitches for the victory. Here comes your 2-1. And just off the outside of the plate for Vino. So Vino works himself up to a hitter's count here, 3-1. Contact information on your screen. Make sure you reach out to us on the Twitter and the email. 3-1, and Vino. Actually, that was a 3-2 pitch, and Vino swings through, and he'll have your first strikeout of the game. So Vino strikes out, and here's Jake Pelham. Pelham, 6 at-bats as well yesterday. He had the 2 RBI double in the third, and a double as well in the fifth. 2 for 6 yesterday was Jake, left-handed batter playing right field for the Canadians. So Paul Doucette, as mentioned, 13 innings pitched, and his battery mate, Matt Denny, had the solo home run to start the scoring for Sydney, and then capped the day for Sydney with a 2-run single that won the game for the Sooners. Halifax scored in the top of the 13th to make it 6-5, and then Sydney put up 2 in the bottom to win it. Pelham fouled down the left field side and out of play. Temperatures are about 18 degrees here, game time, and the wind is blowing right to left, just judging by the flags. The wind picking up as we go along. There is cloud cover. Started off with a beautiful day here in the city, but they're calling for rain. Going to rain hard here tomorrow, but they're calling for rain. We're expecting to get it sometime around supper. That pitch comes across, but just outside. We're expecting rain to start after supper time, so we think we're going to get this ball game in. A 1 o'clock start here in Sydney. Iannetti to the plate. Inside in the dirt, and holding off on it was Pelham. Two and one the count coming up here on Jake. Mark Haverstock, the counterpart last night, pitched 5 1/3. And then Brandon McKinnon pitched 4 2/3. And Anthony Catavini took the loss, pitching over 3 innings. Pelham swings through, and strike 3. So Pelham strikes out swinging to follow Vino, who struck out swinging. 3 up, 3 down. in your top of the first. All right, Ken Long, Duncan McDougall, Corey Christie coming up. Stick around. We'll be right back for your bottom of the first action. All right, friends, we're back to it. Kenny Long coming up to the plate. Talked to Kenny before the game on a feature we're going to have on East Coast Sports Show. And talked about how he's a pretty versatile guy for this Sooners team. The left-handed throwing Long. He pitches, plays first base last night. Tonight playing center field. And leading off, he'll take strike one. Craig Field on the mound for the Canadians. Long swinging, slicing it down the left field line. That's fair. Will Kenny go for two? Takes a big turn around first, but he'll hold on as the ball gets in quickly from Davey. So Kenny Long has our first hit of the game.
Number 10, Duncan McDougall.
Here's Duncan McDougall. He came in last night. He actually scored the tying run in the 13th inning on that double by Matt Denny. McDougall came in as a pinch runner. Kenny Long goes. Throw to the third base side, and sliding in safely is Kenny Long. So give Long a stolen base. And you know McDougall's got speed because last night he came in as a pinch runner for Kenny Long. And Long's pretty speedy as well. So they really wanted someone fast up top or at first base in that 13th inning. And Sullivan came in and ended up scoring, walking, standing up for the game-tying run. And then, of course, Phil Brown came around to win it. So no outs, runner at second. Hit into right field, and Pelham starts in, steps back, has it, Long tags, digs in for third, and he'll get there standing up.
Now batting the designated hitter, number 16, Corey Christie.
So Pelham flies out to right field. Kenny Long moves to third base. So the Sooners in business here in the first inning. Corey Christie going to play DH today. So Christie not playing third base. He is at DH. Kenny 1 for 5 yesterday with a single, and he reached on an error, and there's a solid single for Kenny through short and third, and he's got himself an RBI.
Now batting the catcher, number 20, Matt Denny.
So the Sooners strike first. Kenny Long singles, steals a base, advances to third, and then Corey Christie knocks him in. Textbook baseball through the first three batters for Sydney. So Christie at first with a safe lead. There's a strike on the curveball. Strike one. So make sure you reach out to us. You get your Twitter information there, your email as well. Our first tweet comes in from Scott McGilvery. Thank you very much, Scott. The Vice Pres checking in. So the Veep of the NSSBL. This could be a double play ball. Ryan Vino bounces away on him, though. Might still have a play at first. He does. So Vino sticks with it and gets the man at first.
Now batting the first baseman, number 22, Sean Ferguson.
So Denny goes 6-3 for the second out. Christie slides in safely at second after Vino couldn't quite field it cleanly. It's been a battle for the Canadians with the ground balls this weekend. They really struggled on a bunch of ground balls yesterday, including a bunch of them in the sixth inning that led to a 3-run inning for the Sooners. Bouncing ball down the third base line and into the Sooners bench. Throughout the game, we'll talk about some of the storylines from yesterday. And last night's game of the year so far in the NSSBL, the 13-inning thriller. That sixth inning for the Sooners was about as wacky as it gets. Here comes your 0-2. Hit into center, and getting under it with no problem is Devlin. So that'll do it for the Sooners in the first, but they score a run. 2 hits, 1 left on base, and 1 run comes across, no errors, and it's 1-0 for Sydney after 1 inning. But just to continue on about that 8th inning or 6th inning yesterday for the Sooners. The Sooners sent 8 batters to the plate, scored 3 runs to take a 5-4 lead at that point. And throughout all of it, the Sooners only had 1 hit. 3 errors by the Canadians in the inning. And I think they had a pass ball as well, if I recall. But 1 hit, 3 errors, a walk, and that led to 3 runs for the Sooners, and what was just kind of a meltdown for the Canadians. They really felt like they got robbed on a play at second base. A Sooner stole second, and the Canadians felt that they had him thrown out. He was called safe. And after that, just a series of mistakes by the Canadians, which led to the Sooners taking the momentary lead.
Leading off for the Halifax Pelham Canadians, the designated hitter, number 11, Sean Peveril.
Here's Sean Peveril, the DH, big slugging first baseman. Tonight, or today, gets a break from the field, and he'll just go up there and take his hacks. Peveril led off the scoring this weekend. He had the solo shot yesterday to get things started. Of course, that was followed up by a back-to-back home run by Adam Lucas. Peveril 1 for 5 yesterday with that solo home run. So there's Iannetti out there for a second inning of work. Curveball, low. One nothing for the Sooners. It's just getting started in the top of our second. High and outside. Umpire raised that right hand for a second. But that's a ball as well. So a tight strike zone so far at home plate. Peveril swings. Goes over the backstop and over the press box here at Susan McEachern. Ionetti comes set. Just off the outside of the plate, and Ionetti, not sure if you can see it on your camera, but he was not happy about that call. He thought he had a strike. So we could be looking at a very small strike zone here. It looked pretty good up here as well. And there's a high strike. So Peveril gets himself a walk, and Ionetti visibly frustrated on the mound.
Number 3, Aaron Ferguson.
Going to have to try to shake that off. So Peveril gets the walk. That's the first base runner for the Canadians. And here's Aaron Ferguson, the third baseman, wearing number 3 and batting from the right side. Peveril not a threat to steal down there at first base. Down to third. Biron. And the Sooners turn two. Biron to Robinson to Ferguson. Double play ball, 5-4-3 for Sydney.
Now batting the left fielder, number 7, Paul Davey.
So Ferguson hits into the 5-4-3 double play, and here's Paul Davey, the left fielder. First pitch strike on Davey. Busy night for Paul last night in left field. He was eventually replaced in the 9th inning by Jared Timmins. But 2 strikeouts and a flyout to left last night for Davey. And he's got 2 strikes on him here, so a tough weekend for Davey. 2 strikeouts, 2 strikeouts already, and the 0-2 count to begin. Sun is slightly peeking out here at the field, but for the most part, it is a cloud-covered day. Swinging at 0-2 on the curveball and popping it to third. And no problem there for Biron. So Biron starts the 5-4-3 and then gets the easy pop-up to finish off the Canadians in the second.
So there, half the second inning had no runs, no hits, there were no Sydney errors, and left no runners on base. The score after 1.5 inning of play, Sydney 1, Halifax no score.
So Anthony Ionetti has faced the minimum through 2 innings. And 6 up, 6 down. Gave up the walk, but then the double play ball to set the Canadians down 3 up, 3 down. Chris Farrow, Rob Biron, and Jamie McNeil coming up here for the Sooners in the bottom of the second. Hello to George and Elaine Long, Kenny's grandparents. Great to have you guys with us. Thank you for checking in on the email. That's George and Elaine Long, Kenny's grandparents. Thanks for being with us. And Greg Marquis as well. Thanks very much, Greg. Thank you for those kind words and watching as well. So emails and tweets coming in. Make sure you keep them coming. Live and interactive here on Bella Lion Community 1. The NSSBL all summer long.
Leading off for Sydney, the shortstop, number 4, Chris Farrow.
Here's Chris Farrow. Farrow had an up and down game yesterday. started out really well. Had the 2 singles, a couple stolen bases, scored a run. But then his last 2 at-bats were very disappointing. Both times he was called upon a sacrifice bunt. And both times was unable to do it. And ended up striking out and not advancing the runner. Strike 1 on Chris. Back up the middle. Vino, a wicked hop, one-handed! But a tough throw there, no luck on the high throw for the first baseman, Murphy. But what a play by Vino. That took a wicked hop off the bag, and he caught it with a bare hand and nearly made the play. And then the Murphy couldn't quite handle the throw. It was going to be tight down at first base. So give Farrow a single. There's Rob Buron. Rob wearing number 27, playing third base, batting from the right side. Farrow a threat to steal, bouncing down to Pelham. Or Ferguson, sorry. A nice throw by Ferguson to Murphy. So a good job by Ferguson down there at third base. Josh Pelham getting the day off today.
Now batting the left fielder, number 21, Jamie McNeil.
So Biron goes 5-3. Chris Farrow moves to second base. And here's Jamie McNeil, the left fielder. McNeil wearing number 21 for the Sooners and batting from the right side. Pitch just off the outside of the plate and low. Craig Field out there for a second inning. The 1-0. Big lead by Farrow. Identical pitch to the first. And called the same, low and outside. So 2-0. And make sure you stick around. Riley McDonald, the PA announcer here, will take over on the play-by-play. Farrow goes to third, and not able to handle the ball was Ferguson. And scoring standing up on the error will be Farrow. So that was going to be close with Farrow at third, but Ferguson, as he tried to make the tag, lost the ball. And Farrow will come home and score the Sooners' second run, 2-0 for Sydney. So the home team Sooners, again, this is the Sooners team that lost their first 3 games. Talking to a couple of the fellas before the game, they said they just weren't quite ready for that Dartmouth team that weekend. Of course, Dartmouth, as McNeil strikes out, the second out of the inning.
Yeah, batting the center fielder, number 45, Kenny Long.
But the Sooners just weren't quite ready for that weekend, as it was a cold and wet and miserable weekend in Dartmouth.
Number 49, John Robinson.
And the undefeated Dry swept the Sooners at Beasley. But since then, Sydney has won 3 of 4. And now leading 2-0 here. This is John Robinson, the second baseman. John bats from the left side, takes a curveball strike. Wearing number 49 is John. Pitch low. Say the winds are swirling, to say the least. At times it looks like they're going to the left. Right now it looks like they're going to right. And probably about 15 to 20 kilometers. Outfield at normal depth and straightaway center field. Foul to the backstop by Robinson. A 2-2 pitch coming up here from Craig Field. Now we've had some good baseball this week on the network. Of course, the pitchers duel down at Kentville. 3-1 ball game. And then the dramatics of last night, 13 innings. Just a crazy, wacky game here on a Friday night. And a good one so far. Sydney leading 2-0. And striking out is Robinson. So 2 strikeouts in a row for Craig Field. But a run comes across after Farrow singles, steals second,
Halifax in their half of the
and
second
then
inning had
the error
Sydney in their half of the
allowing
second
Farrow to
inning
come
had
home.
no run, correction, 1 run on 1 hit. There was 1 Halifax error and left no runners on base. The score after 2 complete innings of play, Sydney 2, Halifax no score.
So go to the top of the third. Again, just to recap that inning, Farrow got the single, stole second, and then moved to third, or stole first, sorry. Moved to second on the ground out by Biron. And then stole third, and the throwing error, or the error on the third baseman, Biron, allowed Farrow to score, and then 2 strikeouts in a row of McNeil and Robinson. And it's 2-0 for Sydney as we go to the top of the third. So again, contact information on your screen. Hope to hear from you throughout the game. Let us know where you're watching from, who you're cheering for. Comments and feedback. We're back on the air Thursday night from Beasley Field. The Truro Bearcats and the Dartmouth Moosehead Dry. That's a 7:30 start from Beasley. So Thursday night, Bearcats, Moosehead Dry from Beasley Field.
Leading off for Halifax, the first baseman, number 6, Stephen Murphy.
For you Sooners fans watching, the next time you're on the broadcast is July 5th, the Sydney Sooners at the Kentville Wildcats, a noon game from Memorial Park. A rematch of the championships from last year. That pitch high for ball 1. This is Stephen Murphy playing first base. Wearing number 6, batting from the right side. Fouled back. A 1-1 pitch coming up on Murphy. Top of the third, 2-0 for the Sooners. Ionetti out there for his third inning. Just missing 2-1 the count. Again, off the plate, 3-1. So a hitter's count here for Stephen Murphy. A shot to second base. Robinson knocks it down, collects, and safe is the speedy Murphy.
Now batting the catcher, number 24, Tyler Fancy.
That was a hard hit ball. With an error on that, Riley? Yep. So an error to the second baseman, Robinson. So E4. And Murphy at first base. Strike 1 here on Tyler Fancy, the catcher. So the second base runner of the game for the Canadians. They still haven't got a hit. Here's your 0-1 pitch. In on the hands and fouled off. 0-2. Here's the 0-2. High and inside, a little chin music there for Tyler Fancy. Stephen Murphy, a decent lead at first. One and two the count. Murphy holds. And a curveball swinging strike. And Fancy is down. So the curveball that just kept going away from the plate, and Fancy reaches out and misses. 3 strikeouts now for Ionetti. Here's Brandon Devlin, the center fielder. Devlin had a walk and a single last night, a sacrifice bunt. 2 for 3 altogether. Popped into short right field and no problem out there for McDougall. So first pitch swinging is Devlin. He pops out to short right field. And now there's 2 outs, and Stephen Murphy is still at first base. Connor Sullivan comes up. Connor grounded out to shortstop to begin the baseball game back in the first. Sullivan playing second base, wearing number 10, batting from the left-hand side. Low and inside for ball 1. Oh, look over there from Ionetti. Murphy hasn't shown any willingness to possibly steal a base so far. That's going to be popped up the catcher, and no problem for Matt Denny. So Denny makes the play, and that'll do it for the Canadians here in the third. They go start off the inning with an error, but then go 1, 2, 3.
Halifax in their half of the third inning had no runs on no hits. There was 1 Sydney error and left 1 runner on base.
So no hits for the Canadians through 3. We'll take a break. We'll be right back with you here for the bottom of the third inning on Bell Alliant Community 1. Let's say Matt Denny would be there. Kenny Long when he comes out to bat. Due up next inning. Or this inning, actually, right now. All right, friends, welcome back to the ballpark. Susan McEachern Memorial Ballpark here in Sydney, Nova Scotia. Kenny Long will step in to face Craig Field. Craig's third inning of work. Kenny trying to bunt his way on. That'll be strike 1. Drew DeMocus, our producer. Isabel Germain, the camera girl. Down the first base line. To shortstop. Actually into right field. And a great diving catch down there. Or left field, sorry. A great diving catch by Davey. So the play of the game so far defensively for Davey as Ken Long flies out to left field. Here's Duncan McDougall. Duncan flew out to right field. Back in the second. just off the outside of the plate. Craig Field. That's good for a strike. A couple of big guys, big right-handers in our battle today. Ian Eddy versus Craig Field. Two guys over 6 feet tall. Kind of the exact same delivery. 2-2 pitch coming up on Duncan McDougall. Way off the plate. Go to a full count. The 3-2 to shortstop. Vino takes his time, and he'll throw out the speedy McDougall.
Now batting the designated hitter number 60, Corey Christie.
So McDougall goes 6-3, 2 outs in the inning. There's Corey Christie, the DH. Christie had a single that drove in a run. The first run of the game back in the first. Christie, the 2011 MVP. Usually plays third base for the Sooners. Today gets the day off. And will handle DH. Strike 2 on Christie. The 0-2 with 2 outs. In on the hands, Christie fights it off. Foul down the first base side. The 0-2. And strike 3 on the outside portion. Christie goes down on strikes. We are cruising along here at McEachern. 3 up, 3 down. The first 3 up, 3 down inning for Craig Field. The Canadians will come to the bat in the top of the 4th looking for their first hit of the game.
Sydney in their half of the 3rd inning had no runs on no hits. There were no Sydney errors and left no runners on base. The score after 3 complete innings of play, Sydney 2, Halifax no score.
The Canadians and the Sooners of the NSSBL on Community 1. From Susan McEachern Memorial Park in the heart of Sydney. On a gorgeous day in Sydney. They are expecting rain later on, but right now it's perfect baseball weather out there. The wind has died down. And again, they're expecting rain later today, but we think we're going to get this game in. And we're cruising along as well. 3 innings in just under 40 minutes. Could be our second pitcher's duel of the week. Of course, we had the pitcher's duel on Wednesday night. John Chapman and Cody Schreider pitching complete games. All 9 innings. Chapman getting the win 3-1. And then last night, of course, Paul Doucette, the 13-inning performance to win that one. So it's been a great week of baseball on Bella Line Community 1, your leader in local sports webcasting. Make sure you join us later this month for the Canadian Track and Field Championships. I'll be in Moncton with Perdita Felicien for all the action from Moncton Coliseum. The Canadian Track and Field Championships on Bella Line Community 1. Go to bellalliant.net/community1 for the webcast. Ryan Vino will lead us off here in the 4th inning. Again, the Canadians looking for their first first hit. Anthony Iannetti, begins his fourth inning with a strike. Canadians have a walk and they reached on an error, but yet to have a knock. Curveball, strike. Good start for Iannetti, out 0-2 here on Vino. Vino struck out back in the first. Pitch high, 1-2. Riley McDonald coming up for your play-by-play in the fifth inning. A young broadcaster here in Sydney. 1-2. To second base. Robinson has a beat on it, and just out is the speedy Vino down there at first base.
The right fielder, number 21, Jake Pelham.
So Robinson retires Vino, and here's Jake Pelham. Jake struck out as well in the first inning. We could have some really good baseball in the circuit this year. So far this week, we've seen some great pitching, some great defensive play. Again, last year coming off that Kentville-Sydney Championship Series. The league really trying to build off the momentum of that. What a great boost that was for the circuit to have two teams in that championship series that weren't from Halifax or Dartmouth. Here's the 0-1. Pitch high and Pelham patient. The 1-1. Pelham swinging down the third base line, hustling over there, but going out of play. Good hustle by Biron, but just ran out of space. 2-0 for the Sooners. An RBI single by Christie, scoring Ken Long in the first. And then an error, scoring Chris Farrow back in the second. The 1-2. Curveball. Oh, my. That looked beautiful from up here, but umpire saw it high, just over the belt. But another pitch that Iannetti really wanted, and he's going to take his time to shake it off. Definitely had the plate, but the umpire saw it high. 2-2. Another curveball gets in on the hands of Pelham. And make sure you reach out to us live and interactive on your email and your Twitter. I'll read your comments on the air. Just inside. Did that hit Pelham? It did. Got a piece of Jake. Anthony Iannetti is going to walk in here and have a quick word with the umpire.
Now batting the designated hitter, number 11, Sean Peveril.
Here comes Peveril. So that must have got Pelham, just grazed him. Iannetti exchanging words here. So this is the third base runner of the game for the Canadians. They don't have a hit yet, But they have a walk and a reach on an error in the third, and now they hit by pitch. Here's Peveril. Peveril had that walk back in the second inning. Of course, Sean, as mentioned, had the solo shot yesterday to kick off the action in the second inning. A line drive home run over the subway sign in left field. First pitch ball. And a high curveball inside. So we'll see what they do with Peveril here. A 2-0 count. 1 out. A runner at first. Pelham, decent speed down there at first. Very slight lead. He goes. The throw down to second. Pelham sliding head first, and he's out at second base. A great throw by Matt Denny. A little bit to the third base side. But the quick tag applied, and Jake Pelham thrown out at second. So Jake Pelham caught stealing. And that's the second out of the inning. And now Peveril up there with nobody on base. That was a tough steal for Pelham. As I mentioned before he went, he didn't really have a big lead. And that pitch low and outside. Sean Peveril shaking his head. Peveril. Having a hard time finding that. That's a fly ball into right field. So Peveril into right field, no problem for McDougall.
Half of the fourth inning had no runs on no hits. There were no Sydney errors and left no runners on base. The score after 3.5 innings of play: Sydney 2, Halifax no score.
So no hits, no left on base. And Denny, Ferguson, and Farrow coming up here for the Sooners in the bottom of the fourth inning. 2-0 for Sydney. And do we have rain coming down? We got some water. Yeah, we have rain starting. So they were calling for rain not to start till after supper, but we have some drops on the press box here. So we'll see if this accumulates or picks up. But there is your first show of rain on a windy and cloudy afternoon. And, of course, it is in the forecast. Make sure you join us on Thursday. The Bearcats and the Moosehead Dry. From Beasley Field, that's a 7:30 start from Beasley. And make sure you watch East Coast Sports Show. Of course, we're here in Sydney this week, and we had a great interview today with Jacques Cote of the local biking group here in Sydney, the Velo Cape Breton biking group. Went down to the Sydney Farmers Market, met up with those guys, talked to them, and hung out with the Sooners all morning as well. Had some great stuff with Matt Denny and Kenny Long and Justin Brewer of the Sooners. That's all coming up on our next episode. That'll be 8 days from now. So make sure you note that and check out East Coast Sports Show on demand on your Bell Alliant Fiber Op TV package, and, of course, at bellalliant.net/community1. Strike one here on Matt Denny. Denny, of course, the hero last night in the 13th inning. He had the 2-run single that brought home McDougall and Phil Brown. And now Denny gets in one down the third base line. Gets past Ferguson. Denny, a big turn at first, but he'll hold on. That was a sharply hit ball.
Number 22, correction, the first baseman, number 22, Sean Ferguson.
So Matt Denny, the single. Again, Riley McDonald coming up here with the play-by-play. I'm going to try my hand at the PA for an inning and try to work the music as well. So stick around for that in the 5th inning. I'm sure our friends here at McEachern are going to wonder what the heck is going on up there in the press box. Gorgeous pitch by Craig Field. A little off speed on the inside half. Sean Ferguson, he flew out to center field back in the 1st. A little toss over there, checking on Matt Denny. Reaching out for it, and that is a tailor-made 6-4-3, but the speedy Ferguson gets down the line in a hurry. Big Sean.
Now batting the shortstop, number 4, Chris Barrow.
That looked like a 6-4-3 off the bat. But Ferguson beats it down the line. Hey, what? Sean's a big boy, too. Showing some good speed down there. Beats out the double play ball, and now he'll replace Matt Denny at first. So 1 out, Ferguson at first. That pitch on the outside portion. Reaching for it and missing is Chris Farrow, strike 2. Might be able to see the wind picking up. You can see the back of the jersey of Craig Field starting to blow around the wind there, so the wind's starting to pick up as well. Bouncing ball back to Field. Can they turn it this time? Vino mishandles, but picks it up and touches the bag. So Vino couldn't handle the throw, dropped it, but quickly picks the ball up, touches second base, and they'll get the force at second.
Now batting the third baseman, number 27, Rob Biron.
So 2 plays at second base here for 2 outs. That's 1-4. And Chris Farrow down at first on the fielder's choice. Here's Rob Biron. Rob grounded out to his counterpart at third base back in the 2nd inning. Rob, the third baseman, wearing number 27. And again, but actually coming in on this is Ferguson. Cuts it off. The strong throw to first. And that'll do it. Biron goes 5-3. All right, don't go anywhere. Riley McDonald coming up with your play-by-play. And I'm going to try to take over the PA here for an inning. So stick around. Hopefully this rain is going to hold off. Riley McDonald coming up here on the broadcast.
Here, welcome back to Susan McEachern Ballpark. Here, we're getting ready to start the top of the 5th inning. Halifax has the third baseman, Aaron Ferguson, the left fielder, Paul Rigby, and Steve Murphy. here back at Susan McEachern Memorial Ballpark. Here, Aaron Ferguson stepping into the box. He hit into a double play last time up in the second inning. And here's the delivery. Strike one. Here. Ball one, outside. 1-1 count. The wind looking like it's died down here at Susan McEachern Ballpark. And this is hit to left field. And home run for Aaron Ferguson as Halifax gets on the board here. And also their first hit. Here. Paul Davey, the left fielder, he flied out to third base.
Now batting for the Canadians, the left fielder, number 7, Paul Davey.
In his Ionetti in his windup. And here's the delivery. Ball one on the ground. Up high for ball two. Davey has a 2-0 count. He hits that to third base, and they'll throw him out at first. The 5-3. And Stephen Murphy, the first baseman, stepping in. He got on an error at second base in the top of the third inning.
The first baseman wearing number 6, Stephen Murphy.
Here on the ground outside for ball one. Up high for ball two. He has a 2-0 count. He'll pop this one up to first base, and he'll make the catch. So the catcher, Tyler Fancy, will step into the plate now. He struck out in the third inning. Sydney has 2 outs.
Number 24, the catcher, Tyler Fancy.
Here, this one hit into center field. This is back, and they'll make the catch. So Halifax gets the home run. Sydney still has the lead, 2-1, heading into the bottom of the 5th inning.
For the Canadians in the top of the 5th,
Sydney has Jamie McNeil coming up, John Robinson, and Kenny Long for the bottom half of the 5th inning.
2-1.
And a recap there. Aaron Ferguson hit the home run to give Halifax their first run and their first hit of the game off of pitcher Anthony Ionetti. Here, Jamie McNeil stepping to the plate for the Sooners. He struck out in the bottom of the second. Craig Field pitching for Halifax. And we're almost set to start the bottom of the fifth inning.
Now batting for your Sydney Sooners, number 21, the left fielder, Jamie McNeil.
And he'll ground out to the pitcher for the first out of the fifth inning. The second baseman, John Robinson, coming up. He also struck out in the bottom of the second. Robinson gets set inside the box.
Now batting for your Sooners, the second baseman, John
And
Robinson.
here's the pitch. Up high for ball one. And he'll go swinging at that. That is fouled back. And will make it into the crowd. Robinson has a 1-1 count. And steps back in the box and getting ready for the next pitch. Outside for ball two. He has a 2-1 count. And up high again, so he has a hitter's count, 3 balls and 1 strike. The rain's starting to come down here at Susan McEachern Ballpark. And here's the pitch. Ball. And he'll hit this one to center field. And the center fielder makes the catch. Sydney has 2 outs with left fielder Kenny Long coming to the plate. Here. Kenny Long steps in, waiting for the first pitch of his at-bat. He shows bunt, fouled off. First pitch, foul ball, strike one. Long making his way back to the plate. Sooners leading 2-1 in the bottom of the fifth inning. Kenny Long ready for the second pitch. Inside for ball one, 1-1 count. Nobody on base for Sydney, 2 outs. Ball two. Right fielder Duncan McDougall on deck. He will come up to bat if Kenny Long reaches base. Fouls that one off down by the Sooners dugout. 2-2 now. Getting ready for the next pitch. Here's the pitch. He'll hit that one to the pitcher, and that will do it for Sydney in the fifth. No runs. They do not have any hits that inning and did not reach base. And no Halifax errors. Sydney up 2-1 after 5.
For the Sooners. All right, so back to it. Thanks very much to Riley McDonald taking over there. The play-by-play, what a great job. Only 15 years old is that young man. Of course, he's been doing the play-by-play, or the PA here, for 3 years now. And one of the young developing sports broadcasters, so keep your eye out for Riley doing the fifth inning for us on the play-by-play. And, of course, he got a home run call as well. Aaron Ferguson going deep there in the top of the fifth to make this a 2-1 game. And we're on borrowed time right now. The rain is coming down, really starting to come off the window here in the press box. So we'll see how this one progresses. But now we've reached that point where every inning is critical, and the Canadians cannot waste much time. They got to start thinking about how every at-bat could be their last chance if this rain continues. We also have our first email coming in. This is from Ron Clark. Thank you very much, Ron, from Howie Center. Glad you guys are enjoying, and especially last night's game. Yeah, that was nuts, last night's baseball game. 4 hours through 13 innings. We'll keep talking about that as we go along. We got another good game here today, 2-1. So thank you very much, Ron Clark, as Anthony Iannetti out there for his sixth inning of work. Davey swings and misses, and we have a full count coming up. So Ron Clark, again, thank you for the email. And yes, we are broadcasting the Nationals in St. John's. That will be on the network, bellalliant.net/community1. As there goes Paul Davey to first, or Brandon Devlin with the walk.
Yeah, batting the second baseman, number 10, Connor Sullivan.
So Brandon Devlin, the leadoff walk here. But yes, the Nationals featuring the Sydney Sooners will be on the network. Chris Abbott will have the call from St. John's for that. So the senior men's baseball Nationals on Bell Alliant Community 1 come mid-August. And, of course, Sydney will be representing the NSSBL. All right, here's Connor Sullivan. Connor grounded out to shortstop in the first and popped out to the catcher in the third. Doing that PA is fun. I've always wanted to do the PA. I had a hard time getting the music down pat. But that's good times. At the old ball field. So 2-1 for the Sooners. This game, a much different look than yesterday. Of course, yesterday the marathon. 7-6 final. This one, 2-1, a pitcher's battle. Anthony Iannetti and Craig Field. Devlin at first base. Takes off for second, the delayed steal, and he is out by a mile at second. It didn't look like Devlin was going. And he is thrown out at second by Matt Denny. So Matt Denny having a field day picking off Pelham Canadian base runners. That's the second that he's picked off today. Threw out Jake Pelham back in the fourth. So the Canadians run themselves out here. One out, and now the base is empty. Bouncing ball from Connor Sullivan to second base. There's Ferguson, or Robinson, sorry, to Ferguson. 4-3, no problem. So 4-3 goes Connor Sullivan. He's 0 for 3 on the day. And here's Ryan Vino. Vino struck out in the first, grounded out to second in the fourth. Iannetti has only allowed one hit, but it was that home run to Aaron Ferguson. That was a shot by Ferguson. You could see it was gone right off the bat. Into the dirt, ball one here on Ryan Vino. As mentioned, Ryan had 2 singles yesterday, scored a run. It was 2 for 6 on the day. Of course, Ryan started that 6-4-3 in the 10th inning. Pops this one high and over the backstop. As we talk again about the events of last night's game, the Sooners had the bases loaded with 1 out and a 3-0 count on Phil Brown. So just one more ball, and that game would have been over. But Brandon McKinnon came with 2 strikes, and then on the full count pitch, hit it to Vino, and Vino turned the 6-4-3 double play to get the Canadians out of that 10th inning. That was just an incredible play, curveball strike. And Ryan Vino does not agree. He's going to take his time and walk that off. But that was one of the plays of the year, the 6-4-3 by the Canadians. Talking to the guys today, they said that Phil Brown stumbled as he ran down the first baseline, kind of lost his footing. And that was one of the reasons why their Canadians were able to turn it. It was a very slow developing double play. And Phil Brown, who has good speed, kind of got his feet mixed up running down the first baseline. And of course, if he would have beat out the throw, the run would have came home, and this game would have been over. Or that game would have been over. Outside, and Vino works his way back to a full count. So a full count pitch coming on Ryan Vino. Ionetti from the stretch. Foul to the backstop. So again, thanks to Ron Clark for that email, and that was a great reminder. Haven't talked enough about that through our first 7 broadcasts, that the Nationals are on Bell Alliant Community 1. So you can follow your Sydney Sooners as they go for a national title in beautiful St. John's. A full count. Strike 3. No, I thought the ump made a strike call. Ionetti thought he had the strike. It was close. But a free pass for Vino. He gets the base on balls.
The right fielder, number 21, Jake Pelham.
So Vino with a good eye. That was close. Down at first base goes Ryan. 2 outs. And here's Jake Pelham. Jake struck out back in the first. Got caught stealing after a walk in the 4th. Vino fakes the go. Denny pounces up, checks over at first. I think that pitch was called a ball. There's the 1-0. I'm going to take a look at Ryan Vino over there at first base. Vino about a 3-step lead. He's a threat to steal. Digging in down there at first base. He won't go. High pitch, and now 2-0 on Pelham. The rain, I think it's now starting to hold off a bit. The 2-0, curveball that misses outside. Now 3-0. Canadians trailing by a run. Trying to get back on the road to Halifax with at least a split in this 2-game set. Canadians come in here 4-3, and the Sooners 3-4. Strike on the inside corner. Again, a Sooners team that dropped their first 3 games of the year, but since then have won 3 of 4. Canadians lost their first game of the year, and then were 4-5. Vino gets a huge jump, and he will stand up at second base. So not even a throw down there from Matt Denny, as Vino was halfway to second by the time Ionetti released the ball. So Vino in scoring position with 2 outs. RBI chance for Jake Pelham. He had the 2 RBI double yesterday. Inside, and a walk for Pelham. He'll go to first base.
Now batting the designated hitter, number 11, Sean Peverill.
So Pelham at first, Vino at second. There are 2 outs in the inning. Here's Sean Peverill. Sean walked back in the first or second and was stranded and flew out to right field back in the fourth. We're cruising along about an hour and 20 minutes into this one, and we're in the top of the 6th. A brilliantly pitched game. Both pitchers really throwing well. Small strike zone, as I mentioned earlier, but they're dealing with it. And there's a strike on Sean Peverill. The 0-1. Curveball, strike. So a nice mix here. Fastball, curveball, 0-2. Ionetti 1 pitch away from getting out of this. Ionetti comes set. Vino fakes to go to third. Peverill fights it off. That was a nasty curve, but Peverill got just enough to stay alive. Peverill again. With the 0-2, rolls over on it down the third base line. So Peverill in tough here. 2 strikes on him, fighting off some tough pitches. Ionetti trying to get through 6 innings. Just 1 hit given up so far by Ionetti, but it was the home run. Bouncing ball to third. And I think Biron got a little mixed up there. No, he had the right idea. Runners at second and first, caught the ball at third, put his foot on the bag, thought he had the force play, but sliding in ahead was Vino. So the bases are loaded.
Now batting the third baseman, Aaron Ferguson.
So an infield single for Peverill, and that was a tough play for Biron. A tough bouncing ball. This is a tough infield for ground balls. We've seen a lot of real tricky hops this weekend. And great hustle by Vino to keep this alive. Curveball strike to start off Ferguson. Ferguson again hit that solo home run last inning. But if Vino had hesitated for a split second on that play, Ionetti would be out of this inning. But the head first slide, a great hustle, and the bases are loaded. Ferguson with the Canadians trailing 2-1. Curveball hit into the air to left field. On the prowl, down there in foul ground, and it just goes out. That was McNeil giving it a chase down there, but just ran out of real estate. So it looked like McNeil had a beat on that one, but it just kept hooking and eventually went out of play. 2 outs in the top of the 6th. The bases loaded. Here comes Ionetti. Just off the plate. That's Anthony Ionetti. Definitely wearing his thoughts and emotions on his sleeve out there. He's 4 or 5 times now has been very visible with how unhappy he's been with these calls. But the cool-headed umpire not paying him any attention. That's low and outside as well. So 2 balls and 2 strikes. And Ionetti slows things down. Some great pitching performances this weekend. Of course, Doucette last night, the 13-inning performance. Now legendary 13-inning performance. And Ionetti in field, pitching well today. That goes off the leg of Ferguson. He'll try to shake that off. Of course, Wednesday night we had the brilliant performances by Cody Schreider and John Chapman in a 3-1 pitcher's duel. Even Mark Haverstock pitched well last night for the Canadians. Didn't quite have his usual stuff, but pitched well. Brandon McKinnon pitched well, the big, long, rangy left-hander, in relief of Haverstock. Let's do the 2-2 again with the bases loaded. Curveball. Little cue ball down the first base line. Pouncing on it is Ionetti, a tough throw. And coming off the bag on the play was Ferguson, but he'll tag out Ferguson for the 3rd out. So the Sooners escape. 1-3 goes Aaron Ferguson. So 1 hit. There were actually 3 walks in the inning as well.
Halifax in their half of the 7th inning had no runs on 1 hit. There were no Sydney errors and left 2 runners on base. The score after 5.5 innings of play, Sydney 2, Halifax 1.
So 1 hit, 3 left on base. Obviously the big play that hurts the Canadians on that was Brandon Devlin getting caught stealing for the first out. With the single and the 3 walks, Devlin would have scored to tie this thing up, but got a really bad jump, or it was a delayed steal, I'm not sure. And he got thrown out at second base by Matt Denny. Denny's 2nd throw out of the game. So we'll go to the bottom of the 6th. 2-1 still for the Sooners, and we're still playing baseball. Again, the rain picked up there during the early parts of the 5th inning, but it looks like once again it's starting to hold off. As the boss plays here at Susan McEachern Memorial Park in the heart of Sydney, the Nova Scotia Senior Baseball League on Bell Alliant Community 1 all summer long. Thursday night, we're in Beasley Field in Dartmouth for the Moosehead Dry and the Bearcats. Great matchup there. That Bearcats team looking really good so far. Great defensive team. Timely hitting against the big bad Moosehead Dry. They look like they are back and anxious to reestablish themselves at the top of the NSSBL.
For Sydney, the right fielder, number 10, Duncan McDougall.
Duncan McDougall will get us started. He's the right fielder. Flew out to right field back in the 1st and grounded out to shortstop back in the 3rd. So McDougall wearing number 10, batting from the left side. Out there for his 6th inning of work is Craig Field. Field's allowed 5 hits so far and the 2 runs. So a pitcher's duel from Susan McEachern. Bouncing ball Up through the middle. Ranging over to get it is Sullivan. And unable to pick it up there was Sullivan. That was a tough play. It would have been close at first.
Now batting the designated hitter, number 16, Corey Christie.
What are you going with there, Riley?
I got to give my hit.
Base hit. So a base hit for Duncan McDougall. As mentioned, that would have been a tough play for Connor. That was a high bouncing ball. So a runner on for the Sooners. Corey Christie comes to bat. Corey struck out back in the third. Had a single and an RBI back in the first. Drove in the first run of the game in the form of Ken Long. Christie, bunt right back to the pitcher. Field picks it up, throws over to Murphy, and that'll do it for Corey.
Catcher number 20, Matt Denny.
So the number 3 hitter, Christie, lays down the sack bunt as the Sooners will try to play for one run here. They think that might just be all they need in the 6th, with Anthony Iannetti pitching really well. And that pretty much says it all about this Sooners team. Your number 3 hitter, one of the more feared hitters in the league, laying down the sacrifice bunt in the 6th inning. This is a team that plays team baseball. Matt Denny, he's the catcher. Grounded out to shortstop in the first. And then had a single in the 4th, but was forced out at second. Takes ball 1 high. Denny coming off the big day yesterday with the solo home run and the 2-run single to win it. Hot shot. Vino couldn't get it on the backhand. Coming in to get it is Devlin. They're going to hold Christie at third base. So put Denny at first.
Now batting the first baseman, number 22, Sean Ferguson.
And they'll move Duncan McDougall to third. Or Christie, to third. Check that. Duncan McDougall to third. So McDougall at third. Denny at first. Here's Sean Ferguson, the first baseman. Pitch just off the plate. Decent lead down there at first. Hard hit ball. Kept in front by Ferguson, but he doesn't have a play. So Ferguson took that in the chest, kept it in front of him, was able to hold McDougall at third, but obviously couldn't throw out Sean Ferguson. So the bases are loaded for the Sooners, with Chris Farrow coming to plate. Chris had a single and scored back in the second. Reached on a fielder's choice back in the first. Strike one on the outside half. Bouncing ball to second. That's a slowly hit ball. They're only going to have one play to first, so a run will come home. So Farrow gets himself an RBI.
Now batting the left, the third baseman, number 27, Rob Biron.
So high fives all around for Farrow as he'll head to the bench. Hit that ball the other way and manages to get a run home. 3-1 for the Sooners as Duncan McDougall comes across. Move Corey Christie or Matt Denny to third base. And slide Sean Ferguson to second on your scorecard. So Matt Denny at third, Ferguson at second. Here's Rob Biron. just off the plate. Biron has grounded out to the third baseman 2 times so far. A single here by Biron could really open this one up. Biron high into the air, giving chase over here is Fancy, and just couldn't quite make it. That was right into that tight apex in foul territory by the light pole here. One of the interesting little quirks of Susan McEachern Memorial Park. Talking to some of the locals before the game, they're actually talking about putting artificial turf here at Susan McEachern. So, in the midst of trying to get it passed through municipal legislation, hit the shortstop, Ryan Vino has a chance. Nice hop, tough throw. He is out at first base, so Vino makes a nice play on Biron. And that'll do it for the Sooners, but 1 run does come across. They'll leave 2 on. Three 3-1 for the Sooners after 6.
Sydney in their half of the 6th inning had 1 run on 3 hits. There were no Halifax errors and left 2 runners on base. The score after 6 complete innings of play: Sydney 3, Halifax 1.
So if you're scoring at home, Matt Denny and Sean Ferguson were given singles in that. So 3 hits in the inning. McDougall, Denny, and Ferguson all with singles. The 1 run does come home on the ground ball out by Chris Farrell. And that's where we're at here, 3-1. So we'll go to the 7th.
Now pitching for Sydney, number 30, Logan Aker.
Coming right back here with your 7th inning on Bella Line Community 1. Yeah, actually, there's some good. Trisham's doing that. He has an interview and he's got the footage to the, like there's this, All right, friends, welcome back to the ballpark. We're about to start the top of the 7th, and a new pitcher on the mound for the Sooners. It is Logan Aker. So number 30, Logan Aker, will take over for Sydney. You can close the book on Anthony Iannetti. We'll try to get Iannetti's numbers here as we go along. But 6 innings pitched for Anthony. And 1 run allowed, the home run. Only 2 hits given up by Anthony, including the home run. 3 strikeouts. Here's Paul Davy. Davy grounded out to third base, in his last at bat back in the 5th. Davy, Murphy, Fancy. And should anybody reach Brandon Devlin? Gas on the outside, and swinging and missing is Paul Davy. Well, Logan Aker fits the mold of the pitchers so far today, a big right-hander. And Davy gets just enough of that. Little chop shot to third. Sticking with it and making a great play is Ferguson.
Now batting the first baseman, number 6, Steve Murphy.
Check that Biron. I'm sorry, get my third baseman mixed up, but Biron makes a great play. That was a really weirdly hit ball that Biron bobbled for a moment, but stuck with and gets the speedy Davy. Here's Stephen Murphy, the first baseman. Murphy reached on an error and popped out to first base. The 1-0. Hit into left field. It looks like McNeil has it. No problem out there. So 2 up, 2 down quickly here in the top of the 7th.
Now adding the catcher, number 24, Tyler Fancy.
Tyler Fancy. Fancy struck out back in the 3rd, flew out to center back in the 5th. And out of shortstop should be no problem for Chris Farrell. It is not.
Halifax in their half of the 7th inning had no runs on no hits. There were no Sydney errors and left no runners on base. The score after 6.5 innings of play: Sydney 3, Halifax 1.
So 1, 2, 3 go the Canadians in the 7th. No hits, none left on base. A perfect inning of work for Logan Aker. So again, just trying to close the book there on Anthony Iannetti. He did have a lot of walks, kind of the one blemish for Anthony. Six walks for Anthony. So that was kind of the one chink in his armor. But only surrendered 2 hits, struck out 3, and gave up 1 run through 6 innings. And again, he'll give way to Anthony Aker. And Anthony's got a 3 up, 3 down inning in the books. All right, so the Sooners come up. It's stretch time as Susan McEachern. We'll take a quick break and come right back here with the bottom of your 7th. so Jamie McNeil out to start the 7th inning for the Sooners. And now here's John Robinson. John struck out back in the 2nd and flew out to center back in the 5th. A 3-1 lead for the Sooners. A pitcher's duel here from Susan McEachern. In the bottom of the 7th, Craig Field out there for his 7th inning of work for the Canadians. John playing second base. To the left side. On the chase is Vino. Can't get there. And now picks up and gets it back into the infield. That'll be a seeing eye single for John Robinson. Found real estate out there in short left field. So Robinson has his first hit, put him at first base. There's Ken Long. So hello out there to Kenny's grandparents watching. George and Elaine. Kenny so far, a single and scored the game's first run. Flew out to left field and flew out to center field. I'll throw over to first. That was close. They caught Robinson flat-footed. Robinson gets back in there safely. Again, they check on Robinson. Just gets back in. And now the 0-0 pitch. Ball 1. Kenny played first base last night, playing center field tonight or today. Going is Robinson. Throw down to second. Safe, as it looked like Sullivan didn't hold on to it. Looked like they had him, but Sullivan couldn't hold on. So Robinson safe down there with the stolen base. So put Robinson at second. There's a strike on Kenny Long. Long swings away over the backstop. So 2 strikes on Kenny. Runner down there at second, only 1 out. Just high and outside. Little dribbler down to second. Should be no problem for Sullivan. Hustling down there is Long, but Sullivan gets him by a step. So Long out 4-3.
Now batting the right fielder, number 10, Duncan McDougall.
So 2 outs now. Move John Robinson to third base. And here's Duncan McDougall. Strike 1 on Duncan. Duncan flew out to right field and grounded out to shortstop. Singled and scored back in the 6th. So 1 for 3 is McDougall. Pitch off the plate for ball 1. Here's the 1-1. High and outside for ball 2. High pop up to second base. No problem for Sullivan. And that'll do it for the Sooners here in the 7th. So the Sooners send 4 runners, 4 hitters to the plate, get 1 hit, and leave 1 on base. No runs, 1 hit, 1 left on base. And we'll go to the top of the 8th inning. So Sydney 3, Halifax 1. Sooners are looking for the 2-game sweep. Last night winning 7-6 through 13 innings. Some other interesting plays and stats from last night. The Sooners had a 5-4 lead and were on their way maybe to a victory. Paul Doucette was really dealing. But then he hit Jake Pelham in the right shoulder. So Jake was given first base. And then Adam Lucas came up with 2 outs. And Adam hit one high into the air to short right field. And Jeff McKinnon, the right fielder, just never saw it. Didn't see it off the bat. The guys were saying it's just that time of night where it's hard to pick the ball up off the bat. So this high pop fly dropped into short right field. And the hustling Jake Pelham came around all the way from first base to score the game-tying run. And that turned out to be the run that sent us to those extra innings.
Leading off for Halifax, the center fielder, number 4, Brandon Devlin.
Again, just one of the 10 to 15 notable stat lines and or plays from last night's game. We'll go to the top of the 8th in this one. This one much different. Going along quickly. Pitchers duel. And 3-1. Brandon Devlin comes to the plate, takes the ball outside. Logan Aker out there for his 2nd inning of work. Devlin, Sullivan, Vino. Should anybody reach Jake Pelham. Ball 2. Devlin flew out to right field. Had a walk, but then was caught stealing back in the 6th. Strike 1, 2-1. That turned out to be a significant out because then the Canadians put 3 more base runners on with walks and a single. Tip to the backstop, 2-2. The rain continues to fall, but very lightly. Looks like we're going to get this game in. The 2-2. Hit high and foul and out of play. Down into the bushes here behind the park. The 2-2 from Logan Aker. Just high. So the full count pitch. Off the plate and ball 4. Brandon Devlin goes down to first. So Devlin the single. Here's Connor Sullivan. Connor is 0 for 3. His last at bat in the 6th grounded out to second base. Had a pop up to the pitcher, or to the catcher, sorry, in the 3rd, and grounded out to shortstop way back in the 1st to lead off the ballgame. Sullivan playing second base today for Adam Lucas. Takes strike one. Stepping off the mound with a rubber is Logan Aker. Keeping an eye on there. Devlin's got speed. As mentioned, though, Matt Denny threw him out last time. Hit into right center field. That's on the ground. It's going to be a single. They're going to hold Devlin at third. So Sullivan gets himself a single.
Shortstop number 12, Ryan Vino.
And he moves Devlin from first to third. And there are no outs in the eighth. And the Canadians have runners at the corner and the heart of the order coming up. So with the ninth inning approaching, this is definitely the Canadians' chance. Trailing by two. Two runners on, no outs. And Vino, Pelham, Peveril, the heart of the order coming up. Here is Vino. Struck out, walked, grounded out to second. Vino made it to third back in the sixth, but was stranded. Just high. So trouble a brewing here for Logan Aker. From the stretch. Vino takes a swing at one, and that is popped up into short left field. The shortstop is back there. Barrow calls for it, catches it, runs it back in the infield. So there's one out.
Now batting the right fielder, number 21, Jake Pelham.
So Vino can't get his man home, and now here's Jake Pelham. Pelham struck out, walked, got caught stealing, walked again in the sixth, and was stranded. Runners at the corners for Jake. Curveball strike. Fastball. Swinging and missing is Pelham. So quickly 0-2. One out. Aker slowly but surely working his way out of a jam. Top of the eighth from Sydney. The 0-2. Ooh, that just missed. Pelham, if Pelham had stuck his hip out a centimeter, he would have took that in the butt and had himself a free pass down to first. But it just misses him, and he'll dig in again. Again, just missing Pelham on the inside corner. Now 2-2. Runners at the corners. Pelham with the 2-2. One out. Curveball, backdoor, and a beauty. Jake Pelham will sit down.
Yeah, batting the designated hitter, number 11, Sean Peveril.
One of the pitches of the game right there. Absolute beauty. And a backwards K for Jake Pelham. So that's the first strikeout for Aker. And it was a big one. Runners still at the corners, and now with two outs, and here's Peveril. He needs a hit to score a run. Peveril swings under a curveball, taking second without a throw is Connor Sullivan. So give Sullivan second base. No throw down there. Vino at third. So first base now open. That one just high. That high strike has not been called today. That's been a consistent call for the umpire. Has not really given that strike just slightly above the belt. Back to the backstop, and that's our second ball of the weekend that's got stuck in the fence. Pretty much right in that same spot as last night. Two strikes on Peveril. Curveball, strike three. Another beautiful pitch. So twice in a row, Akers puts that curveball in that exact same spot, once to the left-handed batter, this time to Peveril, and he gets out of it.
The eighth inning had no runs on one hit. There were no Sydney errors, and left 2 runners on base. The score after 7.5 innings of play: Sydney 3, Halifax 1.
So 2 men left on base. The Canadians had runners at the corner with no out. But Ryan Vino, and this is the heart of the order coming up as mentioned. Vino pops out. Pelham looks at a curveball, strike 3. And Peveril looks at a curveball, strike 3. And Logan Aker. A great job there. We'll go to the bottom of the 8th with the Sooners looking to tack on some insurance. Leading 3-1. If the Sooners win this game, they'll tie up the Canadians at 4-4 in the standings. Craig Field goes out there for his 8th inning of work. Again, remember, East Coast Sports Show every single week on bellalliant.net/community1 and on your cable or your fiber op TV package on Bell Alliance. Just click the on-demand button. East Coast Sports Show every week, your weekly look at local sport right here in Atlantic Canada.
Number 16, Corey Christie.
Here's one of the guys we've had on the show. He was on our 2nd episode, Corey Christie. So you can still check that out. Go to the on-demand on your package or your fiber optic package, or go to bellalliant.net/community1 and click all video. And you can see our interview with Corey that we did at Beasley Field 3 weeks ago. Christie reaches out for one, hits it into right field, and he's got himself a single. So 2nd hit of the game for Corey.
Number 20, Matt Denny.
So Christie with 2 singles struck out and laid down a sacrifice bunt, having himself a good day. And he's going to be pinch ran for.
Pinch running now for Corey Christie, number 32, Jordan Shepard.
Jordan Shepard is going to come in here. So Jordan Shepard will pinch run for the DH Christie. I'm going to quickly throw over there to keep an eye on Shepard. Matt Denny. Sean Ferguson to follow. Denny grounded out to shortstop in the 1st, was forced out at 2nd after a single in the 4th, takes strike 1, and then popped out in foul ground, or had a single in the 6th, but was stranded at 3rd base. So Denny 2 for 3. Here's the 0-1. Off the plate. 1-1 the count. Quickly thrown over. So Field keeping a close eye here on Forrest in the bottom of the 8th. Strike 2 on the inside corner. Denny steps out to clear his head. Another throw over there for Forrest. Slides back in safely. Again, over there looking at Forrest. Forrest doesn't have much of a lead over there, but they're keeping a close eye on him. Again. So really preoccupied with Forrest right now is Craig Field. Now he comes to the 1-2 pitch. Denny down the left field line and foul. A fun day we had in Sydney today. We're at the Farmers Market on the Bright, talking with the Velo Bike Club, and then spent the later part of the morning with the Sooners, talking to a bunch of them and having some good times, and then finishing up with the ball game. You're 2-2. Outside, running is Forrest. That pitch is high, and jumping to snag it is Sullivan, but sliding in safely with the stolen base is Jordan Shepard. So Christie the single. Shepard comes in to pinch run, gets himself a stolen base. Matt Denny will walk, and now runners at second and first.
Now batting the first baseman, number 22, Sean Ferguson.
So the Sooners threatening in the 8th inning. Runners at second and first, and Sean Ferguson will bat. Ferguson flew out to center. Reached on a fielder's choice, and then singled back in the 6th. Runners go. The throw down to third, and they've got him by a mile. No, dropping the ball was Ferguson. They had Forrest dead to rights. But Ferguson couldn't hold on as he applied the tag. So put Denny at second. Put Shepard at third. First base is now open. Ferguson swings and misses. That's a solid hit by Ferguson to center field. That's going to score a run easy. Coming home standing up will be Shepard. Ferguson the sac fly and RBI.
Now batting the shortstop, number 4, Chris Farrow.
So the sacrifice fly, RBI. To center field for Ferguson. And a 4-1 lead now for the Sooners. What a big run that is. Staying at second on the play was Matt Denny. 2 outs in the bottom of the 8th. Hit to right field. That's going to get down. They're waving Matt Denny home. Here comes the throw. Cut off. Denny scores standing up, and it's 5-1 for the Sooners.
Now batting number 27, Rob Bierart.
So an RBI single for Chris Farrow. 5-1 Sydney. They are on the verge of a Susan McEachern sweep in this 2-game set with the Canadians.
Ladies and gentlemen, the winning even split number for today's game is 0480463.
And all of a sudden,
Once again, the winning number is
it's a Canadians team or a Sooners team that,
0463.
again, after that 3-game sweep to start the year, people were wondering if the champs were going to be able to make another run. But that was far too early to tell, obviously. The Sooners on the verge of winning 4 of their last 5 games. The 7-6 win last night after 13 innings, and here in control in the 8th inning, 5-1. And the big right-hander, Jared Timmins, comes on the mound here for the Canadians.
Now pitching for Halifax, number 29, Jared Timmins.
So here's Timmins. Timmins came on yesterday to hit or to replace Paul Davey in left field. Struck out twice. And now on the pitcher's mound to replace Logan Aker. Still just 1 out in this inning as well. Here's Rob Biron. Rob grounded out to third base twice and grounded out to shortstop his last at bat. It's called strike 1. It's the day of the big right-hander, Timmins, another big boy, throwing from the right side. Runner goes to second. They're going to throw down there. And sliding in safely is Farrow. And ball gets through, and now Farrow goes on to third. So Farrow the stolen base, and then give him third. Timmins. Hit, pop down the first base side and over the head of Murphy and in play. A little duck snort single for Biron.
Now batting, he's number 21, the left fielder, Jamie McNeil.
And now the Sooners have really opened this one up here. 6-1. The floodgates slowly coming open. 3 runs in the inning to make this a 6-1 lead. No lead is safe in this circuit, though, so they'll keep trying to pour it on here. Jamie McNeil struck out in the second. 0 for 3 is McNeil. From the stretch comes Timmins. Swinging under it is McNeil. 1 ball, 2 strikes. A pitch high. The wind really blowing out to right field now. A called strike 3 on the inside corner. Timmins thought that was the 3rd out. That's only the 2nd.
Now batting number 14, Jeff McKinnon.
So McNeil looks like he'll finish the day 0 for 4. And Jeff McKinnon comes up and gets an at-bat, hitting for John Robinson. Takes his first strike. Over the head of McKinnon. Just missing the top of the noggin. Pitch outside. Timmins from the stretch, down there at first base. That pitch again just missing. And getting the free pass is McKinnon.
Fielder number 45, Kenny Long.
So McKinnon gets the walk, move Beer on to second base, and here's Kenny Long. This is Kenny's 5th at bat of the game. 1 for 4 is Long. Singled and scored in the first. And then flew out to left, center, and grounded out to second base. Pitch high and outside. And this one way outside, 2-0. The rain is held off. 2 balls, no strikes. Runners at second and first. That's a off-speed pitch right across the heart of the plate. Here's Long again. Pitch goes off the mitt. They're a fancy. Runners will take third and second. So the runners weren't sure they want to go. They wanted to go. Finally they do, and they'll get there safely. So McKinnon at second. Biron at third. 3-1 pitch coming up on Ken Long. Ball 4. So Long down to first base. Base is loaded.
Now batting the right fielder number 10, Duncan McDougal.
So the base is loaded for McDougall. McDougall, 1 for 4 on the day. Had a single and scored a run back in the 6th. Into the dirt. Nicely blocked there by Tyler Fancy. On the outside corner for strike 1. Down the heart of the plate for strike 2. The 1-2. Just high. 2 outs. 2-2 count. Bases loaded. 3 runs already in. That pitch fouled off. Actually, the count is full. So full count, runners on the go. And hit in the opening between short and second. 2 runs will come home. And Duncan McDougall has himself 2 RBIs.
Now batting number 32, Jordan Shepard.
And this game has officially been blown wide open. 8-1 for Sydney. Move Ken Long to third base. Give 2 RBIs to Duncan McDougall. And now the 10th batter of the inning in the form of Jordan Shepard. So here's Shepard. That pitch is high. High and inside. Right down the heart of the plate. So the champs getting some swagger going on. To the backstop. They're going to even their record at 500. Get a sweep of a very good Halifax team here in Sydney. We'll get on the road back to Halifax and we'll join you on Thursday night from Dartmouth. The Bearcats and the Moosehead Dry. That pitch high, ball 4. So the base is loaded again.
Batting the catcher number 20, Matt Denny.
Mark Haverstock will come out to talk to his big right-hander. So Shepard walks, bases are loaded. Here's Matt Denny. Denny's second plate appearance of the game. Walked, or of the inning, sorry. Walked and scored a run already. That gets past Fancy. Unlike the other fields we've been to, Mainland Common and Beasley Field and Memorial Park in Kentville, Susan McEachern has a very short backstop. Popped into short right field. That's going to get down. Scoring standing up, but they're going to go station to station. So Matt Denny, an RBI single.
Number 22, Sean Ferguson.
And now 9-1 as this inning goes on. Base runners again. Move up one position. Put Shepard at second. McDougall at third. And here's Sean Ferguson. Ferguson will get another at bat in. Pitch high and tight. The Sooners flexing some muscle. Swinging wildly at that one was Ferguson. Fouled over the backstop. Out of play. So Timmins, one strike away from putting this inning to rest. 6 runs have come across for the Sooners. Strike 3. And mercifully for the Canadians, Ferguson goes down on strikes. This inning comes to an end. Six runs come across. I got 4 hits for the Sooners. 3 left on base. 9-1 as we go to the 9th inning on Bell Alliant Community 1. We'll be right back here for your 9th inning.
4 hits, there were no Halifax errors.
All right, friends, welcome back for the 9th inning. And the Canadians have a lot of work to do. They trail 9-1 and back to their last at bat. Ferguson, Davey, and Murphy. And on the pitching mound now for the Sooners is Justin Brewer. There should be no problem for Farrow. Nicely done for Chris. One up, one down on one pitch. 6-3 goes Ferguson.
Now batting number 7, the left fielder, Paul Davey.
Ferguson has been the only offense for the Canadians. The Canadians only have 3 hits. But Ferguson had that solo home run that at the time made it a 2-1 game. But this is a Canadians team that certainly looks a little deflated after that extra innings loss last night. Pelham out in front and hits it just past his dugout on the first base side. So Big Josh comes into bat for Paul Davey. And he was out on 3 pitches, and that's a quick at bat for Josh. He'll strike out.
First baseman, Stephen Murphy, number 6.
So 2 outs, the Canadians down to their last at bat here. Stephen Murphy reached on an error, popped out to the first baseman, and flew out to left field. Bat on the ball, quickly to center field, and that'll do it. Kenny Long puts this one in the books. No hits, none left on base in the 9th inning. The Canadians, after that marathon bottom of the 8th, the Canadians go in about 3 minutes. So that'll do it from Susan McEachern Memorial Field. The Sooners will sweep the Halifax Pelham Canadians, beating them yesterday 7-6 in 13 innings. And tonight, 9-1 in 9 innings. Sooners will go to 4-4. Canadians will drop to 4-4 as well. You've been watching a presentation of Bell Alliant Community One, your leader in local sports broadcasting in Atlantic Canada. The NSSBL all summer long. Our next game Thursday night from Beasley Field, when the Dartmouth Moosehead Dry host the Truro Bearcats. That's the Bearcats and the Moosehead Dry this Thursday night at 7:30 on Bell Alliant Community One. Make sure you spread the word, and let's get as many people watching as we can as we continue along with our summer of coverage. But for now, the Sooners victorious over Halifax. We'll see you next time from Dartmouth, but for now, goodbye from Sydney.